The desert air in Indian Wells was buzzing. Under the bright California sun, thousands of fans filled the stadium expecting a battle. Not just any match. A match that felt like the beginning of a new era. On one side of the net stood Eala, the 20-year-old prodigy who had already made history. A young star carrying the hopes of an entire nation on her shoulders. A fearless competitor who had just stunned the tennis world by reaching the round of 16 at Indian Wells, becoming the first Filipina to ever go this far in the tournament. And on the other side, a rising powerhouse, Eala Nosková, the number 14 seed. A relentless Czech striker with a game built on precision, aggression, and ruthless control. But nobody in that stadium knew that what they were about to witness would feel less like a normal match and more like a brutal reality check. Because sometimes in tennis, the story doesn't end the way fans hope. And sometimes, the moment that looks like a breakthrough turns into the start of something much more complicated. The rise that shocked the tennis world. Just days before this match, Eala had already captured global attention. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not this deep into one of the biggest tournaments on the WTA calendar. Indian Wells isn't just another event. It's often called the fifth Grand Slam. The desert stage where champions prove they belong. And somehow, a young Filipina player had turned this massive arena into her own personal storybook. Her breakthrough moment came when she faced Coco Gauff, one of the biggest names in tennis. Few believed Eala had a chance. But then something unexpected happened. Eala came out fearless, aggressive, confident. She broke Gauff's serve again and again. The crowd started whispering, could this actually happen? Then suddenly, the entire match took a shocking turn. Gauff began feeling a strange burning sensation in her arm, something she later described as feeling like a firework going off inside. Moments later, the American star made the difficult decision to retire from the match, trailing 6-2, 2-0. The stadium fell silent. Eala walked toward the net, confused at first. Then realization hit. She had just advanced to the round of 16. History had been made. The tennis world suddenly had a new headline. Eala, the girl from the Philippines, had broken through. But that was just the start. The pressure begins. When an underdog starts winning, the pressure changes instantly. Fans celebrate. Social media explodes. But expectations rise faster than anyone can handle. Suddenly, you're no longer the surprise. You're the target. And that's exactly what Eala faced heading into her next match. Because waiting for her in the round of 16 was a completely different challenge. Eala Nosková wasn't just another opponent. She was a top 15 player. A rising star with explosive power and experience against the world's best. The Czech player had already proven she could dominate matches quickly. And many analysts quietly believed this matchup might be where Eala's dream run ended. But fans weren't ready to accept that. Not yet. Across the Philippines, people stayed up late into the night. Watching, praying, believing. Because Eala had already inspired something bigger than tennis. She wasn't just playing for herself. She was playing for a nation that rarely sees its athletes on tennis's biggest stages. And that emotional energy followed her onto the court. But what happened next? Nobody expected. The match that changed everything. From the very first point, something felt different. Nosková came out aggressive. Not cautious. Not respectful. Aggressive. She attacked the serve. Punished short balls. Controlled rallies with ruthless precision. And within minutes, the scoreboard told a brutal story. 2-0. Then 3-0. Then 4-0. Eala tried to respond. She fought for every point. But Nosková was playing like a machine. Her first serve was nearly unstoppable. Her ground strokes were landing deep and heavy. The Czech star looked completely in control. And that's when the tension started rising. Fans watching around the world began asking the same question. Was the fairy tale ending? A ruthless performance. The first set moved quickly. Too quickly. Nosková kept pushing, breaking, attacking, dominating. When the set finally ended, the scoreboard read 6-2. And suddenly the pressure shifted. Because now, Eala had to respond. The crowd waited. Fans hoped. Maybe she would bounce back. Maybe she would adjust. Maybe this was just a slow start. But what happened next shocked everyone. The second set collapse. If the first set felt difficult, the second set felt brutal. Nosková raised her level even higher. Her serves were landing with incredible accuracy. Her returns were aggressive and fearless. And point by point, game by game, the match slipped away. 1-0 Nosková. 2-0 Nosková. 3-0 Nosková. Eala tried to stay composed. But momentum in tennis is powerful. When it swings against you, it can feel unstoppable. And that's when the real tension began. Because the scoreboard kept moving in only one direction. 4-0. 5-0. By this point, the stadium atmosphere had changed. The crowd wasn't loud anymore. They were quiet, watching, feeling the weight of what was happening. And then came the final game. One last rally. One last moment. A powerful return from Nosková forced an error.
Game. Set. Match.
The final score flashed across the screen. 6-2, 6-0. Just like that, the dream run was over. The reaction was immediate. Within minutes, the tennis world reacted. Some fans were shocked. Others were impressed. And many analysts pointed out something important. Yes, the loss looked harsh. But reaching the round of 16 at Indian Wells was already historic for Eala. For a 20-year-old player still developing her game, this was still a massive moment. But the internet had its own opinions. Some critics questioned whether her win against Goff truly showed her level. Others said Nosková simply exposed the gap between rising prospects and top-tier contenders. And behind the scenes, things were getting even more intense. Because moments like this can shape a player's entire career. What this loss really means. In tennis, a heavy defeat can feel devastating. But sometimes, it becomes the most important lesson. Nosková's performance showed exactly what it takes to survive at the top level. Consistency,
Power.
mental control, relentless pressure. And Eala saw all of it up close. This wasn't just a match. It was a glimpse into the future of the WTA. Two young players, both hungry, both rising, both determined to become champions. But on this day, only one was ready. Fans refused to give up. Despite the loss, support for Eala didn't fade. If anything, it grew stronger. Across social media, Filipino fans flooded platforms with messages. Proud of you, Alex. History already made. This is just the beginning. And they weren't wrong. Because reaching this stage at Indian Wells placed her among elite company. Many future champions have experienced their first breakthrough exactly like this. A deep run, a tough loss, a moment that forces growth. The bigger picture. What makes this story powerful isn't just the defeat. It's the journey. A young player from a country with almost no tennis tradition, walking into one of the sport's biggest stages and proving she belongs. That kind of moment doesn't disappear because of one match. If anything, it creates something bigger.
Belief.
Meanwhile, Nosková sends a message. While the spotlight focused on Eala's story, Linda Nosková quietly sent her own message. This wasn't just a win.
It was a statement.
Dominating a rising star in straight sets showed exactly why she's considered one of the most dangerous young players on tour. Her serve, her composure, her power, everything worked. And suddenly the tennis world realized something. Nosková wasn't just advancing in the tournament. She was becoming a real contender. The hidden twist. But here's the twist in this story. Losses like this often shape champions. Look at the careers of legends. Serena Williams, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal. Every one of them experienced painful defeats early in their journeys. Matches where they were overwhelmed, outplayed,
Exposed.
but those moments became turning points. And that's why many analysts believe this Indian Wells loss could become a defining chapter for Eala. Because now she knows exactly what level she must reach. Behind the scenes, after the match, Eala stayed calm. She thanked fans. She reflected on the experience. And most importantly, She acknowledged the bigger picture. Because even though the scoreboard looked harsh, the opportunity was priceless. Facing top players, playing on massive stages, learning under pressure. That's how champions are built. The future is still wide open. At just 20 years old, Eala's story is far from finished. Her ranking continues to rise. Her confidence continues to grow. And her impact on Philippine sports is already historic. Young players back home are picking up rackets because of her, dreaming bigger, believing more. And that might be the most powerful part of the story. Why this moment matters. Sports aren't just about wins. They're about moments. And this tournament gave the world several unforgettable ones. Eala's breakthrough, Nosková's dominance, the emotional roller coaster of underdog dreams and harsh realities. Indian Wells delivered drama once again. But the biggest question now is simple. What happens next? The road ahead. For Nosková, the path continues deeper into the tournament. Her confidence is soaring. Her form looks dangerous. And if she keeps playing like this, she could challenge anyone. But for Eala, the next chapter might be even more important. Because now the expectations are different. She's no longer just a promising junior. She's a proven competitor on the biggest stage. And the tennis world will be watching closely. The final message. In sports, defeat often feels like the end. But the truth is, it's usually the beginning of growth, the beginning of belief, the beginning of a much bigger story. Eala walked into Indian Wells as a hopeful challenger. She walked out as a history maker. And even though Nosková ended her run with a dominant 6-2, 6-0 victory, this moment might still become one of the most important turning points of Eala's career. Because champions aren't defined by how they win. They're defined by how they respond when everything goes wrong. And if this tournament proved anything, it's that the next generation of tennis is already here.